My boyfriend ghosted me. So I did the only logical thing. I slid into his ex-girlfriend's DMs. And now, she's my best friend. This is the story of the friendship he never saw coming and the revenge he absolutely deserved. It all started, like so many stories do, feeling like it was written just for me. His name was Leo, and he was the kind of guy that makes you believe in those cheesy, over-the-top movie romances. We met at a rooftop party on one of those perfect warm summer nights. He had this easy smile and a way of listening that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. It felt like he wasn't just hearing my words, he was absorbing them. Our first few months were a total whirlwind, that intoxicating, can a tea eat, can tea sleep kind of connection. We spent our weekends exploring little bookstores and getting lost in new neighborhoods, debating film endings until 3 a.m. He was thoughtful in a way I'd never experienced. He'd remember a random comment about a pastry I liked and show up with it the next week. He sent me songs that were always perfect. He made me feel seen, safe. He'd always say, "It's you and me against the world," and I completely believed him. For 6 months, our life felt like a promise of a future. He talked about us 5 years from now, about trips to Italy, about getting a dog. I had a whole Pinterest board for our hypothetical future, and I wasn't even embarrassed. But there was one tiny crack in the perfect facade. His ex-girlfriend, Sarah. He didn't bring her up often, but when he did, it was with a weird mix of dismissiveness and intensity. He'd say things like, "Oh, Sarah was so dramatic," or "She just wasn't on my level." It never felt like a simple fact. It felt more like he was trying to convince himself of something. And he checked her social media, obsessively. He'd do it when he thought I wasn't looking, a frantic scroll through her Instagram before quickly locking his phone. When I gently called him out on it, he got defensive. "I just want to make sure she's not going off the rails," he'd say. It was a weird answer, but I was so caught up in our story that I chose to ignore the footnotes. It was a huge mistake. The shift was so subtle at first, I thought I was imagining it. Around the 5 month mark, the constant good morning texts started to fade. The late night calls became shorter, more distracted. When I asked if everything was okay, I'd get a vague, "Yeah, just tired," or "Work's crazy." That deep connection we had, it started to feel really one-sided. I was still pouring my heart out, but his replies became hollow. He was the king of the non-committal response. "That's crazy." "Wow, sounds tough." It was like talking to a chatbot program for minimal effort empathy. That feeling of being the only person in the world slowly turned into feeling like I was screaming into a void. Then came the canceled plans. A dinner I'd been excited for all week would be canceled an hour before. Sorry, something came up. No follow-up, no attempt to reschedule. The job of keeping the relationship alive suddenly fell completely on me. I was the one starting conversations, making plans, trying to close the distance he was creating. A low-grade anxiety started humming under my skin. I stare at my phone, waiting for a text, my stomach in knots. The confident person I was before him was being replaced by someone anxious and insecure, desperate for any scrap of affection. The worst part was the gaslighting. When I'd finally get the courage to say I was hurt, he'd turn it around on me. "You're being too sensitive. You're creating drama. Why can't you just be chill?" He had me questioning my own reality, my own feelings, and I started to believe him. I thought, maybe I am too needy. Maybe I'm the problem. I tried to be more chill, to demand less, to make myself smaller and smaller, to fit into the tiny space he was giving me. The end didn't come with a bang. It came with a deafening silence. Our last conversation was a text, a Tuesday. I texted him, "Hey, hope you have a great day." A few hours later, I got a single thumbs up emoji. That was the last thing he ever said to me. For the first 24 hours, I made excuses for him. His phone died. He asked in a big meeting. I was a one-woman defense team for a guy who had already left the building. By 48 hours, the anxiety turned into a cold dread. I called. Straight to voicemail, I called again. Voicemail. My texts, first casual, then concerned, then frantic, sat there, a string of blue bubbles. Delivered. Unread. The realization I'd been ghosted was a slow, creeping horror. It's the digital equivalent of watching someone walk out, lock the door, and board up the windows, leaving you in the dark. There was no fight, no, we need to talk, no closure, just nothing. An abyss of silence where a person used to be. The pain was a special kind of cruel because it leaves you with zero agency. You're left with 1,000 unanswered questions looping in your head. What did I do? Was it something I said? Was I not enough? Without closure, your brain fills the void with self-blame and shame. I felt like a fool. I had been so vulnerable, and he treated me like I was disposable, like our 6 months together was a free trial he just decided not to subscribe to. The year that followed was a masterclass in grieving someone who is still alive, but has chosen to be dead to you. How do you heal from a wound that was never even acknowledged? I went through all the stages: denial, anger, bargaining. Then came the heavy, persistent sadness that made everything feel gray. I lost trust in my own judgment. If I could be so wrong about him, what else was I wrong about? Dating felt impossible, paralyzed by the fear of being abandoned again. Throughout this time, one thought kept nagging at me: Sarah, his ex. In my lowest moments, I'd go to her Instagram. Her life looked normal, happy even. She was traveling, she had friends, she was smiling. There was no sign of the dramatic woman Leo described. For some reason, seeing her thrive was both painful and strangely comforting. I felt a bizarre, one-sided connection to this woman. We were members of a club neither of us asked to join. The women Leo left behind. That thought stuck with me, just waiting for the right moment of frustrated recklessness. That moment came about a year after the ghosting. It was a Friday night, and I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw it. A post from Leo, the first in over a year. A picture of him on a mountain with that same easy smile. The caption was something infuriatingly generic about new beginnings. A white-hot rage surged through me. It was the sheer audacity to just reappear online, as if he hadn't left a trail of emotional wreckage behind him. All the pain and confusion from the past year coalesced into one impulsive thought. I needed to know I wasn't crazy. I needed validation. And there was only one person in the world who might give me that. Before I could stop myself, I typed her name into the search bar. Sarah. My heart was pounding. This was insane. What if she thought I was a lunatic? A million reasons to stop flooded my brain, but the one reason to keep going was louder. I deserved an answer. Fueled by a year of frustration and a splash of crazy, I opened our message thread and typed out the riskiest sentence of my life. Hey, super random question, but I think we might have an ex in common. My thumb hovered over the send button. It felt like stepping off a cliff. Then, I hit send. No turning back. The minutes after I sent the DM were agonizing. I was convinced ID just made a huge mistake. I expected to be ignored or blocked. What I didn't expect was a reply 10 minutes later. Okay, who is this? My hands were shaking as I typed, "My name is Kate. I dated Leo after you." The three little dots appeared immediately. It felt like an eternity. Then the message. "Oh, wow. You're the girl he ghosted." My blood ran cold. I wrote back, "He told you?" Her reply was instant. "No, he didn't have to. He did the exact same thing to me." Reading those words was like a dam breaking inside me. The relief was so immediate and overwhelming that I laughed out loud. I wasn't crazy. It wasn't a me. It was him. It was always him. I wrote back, "Can I call you?" She sent her number. That first phone call lasted 3 hours. It was an explosive download of shared experience. He had dated her for 2 years, met her parents, talked about moving in. And then one day, he just vanished. Same pattern, same script, the love bombing, the promises, then the slow pull away and the gaslighting. He used the exact same lines on me. "You're being too sensitive. You're overthinking things." We laughed a dark, knowing laugh about his weird obsession with checking her social media while he was with me. "So that's what that was about," she said. "He was probably making sure I wasn't telling anyone what he did." We realized he had painted me as crazy to her, just as he had painted her as dramatic to me. He was an expert at isolating the women he hurt to control the narrative and protect his fragile ego. By the end of the call, something incredible had happened. Two women who were supposed to be rivals had become allies. We found a strange, beautiful solidarity in our shared trauma. I hung up the phone feeling lighter than I had in over a year. That coffee date turned into lunch. Lunch turned into weekly dinners. Weekly dinners turned into us becoming each other's emergency contact. The friendship born from the ashes of his betrayal was the most powerful thing. Sarah wasn't a dramatic. She was brilliant, hilarious, and fiercely loyal. And with her, I wasn't needy. I was confident and funny. She saw the person I was before Leo tried to shrink me. We healed together. We took the pain he inflicted and transformed it into strength and laughter. Our friendship became our revenge, but not in a malicious way. We didn't have to do anything. We decided the ultimate revenge was just to be happy louder and more joyful than we had ever been with him. We started posting pictures together, selfies clinking wine glasses, laughing on a weekend trip. We never tagged him or mentioned him. We didn't need to. Our friendship was the statement. It was proof that instead of destroying us, he inadvertently created something beautiful. He tried to bury us, but he didn't realize we were seeds. The real victory came 3 months later. Sarah called me, laughing so hard she could barely speak. "You are not going to believe this," she gasped. "He unfollowed me." I checked. He had unfollowed me too. After a year of radio silence, our shared happiness was the one thing he couldn't stand to see. Our joy was so loud it broke through his wall of silence. He couldn't ghost our friendship. The fact that two women he discarded had found each other was the one thing he couldn't ignore. The silence from him was no longer a source of pain. It was a confirmation of our victory. It's been a few years, and Sarah is one of the most important people in my life. She was a bridesmaid at my wedding. I'm the godmother to her dog. Our friendship, forged in fire, is a testament to female solidarity. Looking back, I don't think Leo was some evil mastermind. He was just emotionally immature, terrified of real intimacy. People who ghost often lack the tools to handle difficult conversations. Their disappearance is about avoiding their own discomfort, and it has nothing to do with the person they leave behind. But knowing that doesn't erase the pain. What I learned is that closure isn't something someone else gives you. It's something you find for yourself. For me, closure came in a 3-hour phone call with a stranger who wasn't a stranger at all. It came from knowing my pain was valid and that I wasn't alone. The ultimate irony is that in trying to disconnect from everyone, Leo ended up creating one of the strongest connections in my life. He tried to ghost two women, and instead, he created an unbreakable friendship, a friendship he never saw coming, and a happiness that became the revenge he 100% deserved. If you believe living your best life is the ultimate revenge, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories.